Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Excited to
Good.
be
How are
here
you
today.
doing? I know. I'm so excited. And I love that we're wearing matching outfits today. Totally unplanned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like black. It's like a Friday.
It's Friday.
Feels
Yeah.
good. Like, yeah, I like it.
All right. So why don't you tell our audience what you do? Who do you help? What do you do?
Great. So I'm a real estate negotiation coach. I help real estate professionals create six-figure incomes through the practice and art of negotiation.
Yeah. I don't know that I've even heard the term real estate negotiation coach before meeting you, but it's so cool how we were able to take your knowledge and expertise in real estate, your 2 decades of experience in sales, negotiations, and speaking, and sort of marry the two. Was that something that you were doing before you had come through Empower? Was it something that you sort of had this aha moment during? Or was it like a crazy, stupid idea that you wanted to create and just didn't know how?
No, I think there was always this element of wanting to put together a group coaching program, and I spent years and years on the stage and doing just micro trainings and boot camps and 2 days this and from. I miss the relationships.
Yeah.
You meet people for 2 days and it's short lived. So the idea of creating a group coaching program was always there, and this just really helped bring that entire vision to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so cool. So break it down for a second. What does real estate negotiation mean? Who are you helping? Are you helping agents? Are you helping the general population who's buying real estate?
Yeah, I'm helping real estate professionals.
Yeah.
8 out of every 10 real estate professionals don't succeed.
Wow.
Totally don't succeed. Don't make it to their 5-year mark. Struggle with various aspects from lead generation to whatever. But for real estate professionals, it is a skill set that we all talk about, that everyone boasts that they're great in.
Yeah.
And yet, if you were to stop any given real estate agent on the street and say, "Can you just describe to me a little bit about how your negotiation practice functions?" You'd get crickets. Like, they would be
Yeah.
stumped. They're like, "Well, I negotiate."
Right. Like
So
I'm just in it.
yeah, so it's about actually giving them learnings, right? It's about helping people understand the 30,000-foot perspective of a negotiation industry and understanding that it is an intentional process and strategy. And then it's analyzing their own business, their own real estate transactional business, and finding where are the bits and pieces that I can actually equip myself differently. So it's helping them build those tools. It's helping give them the confidence. And then it's helping them actually begin to talk to consumers differently, present differently, negotiate differently, taking them through transactions and situations. So we have everything from tactical training to psychology training to tool design. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
entire gambit.
How much of negotiation or sales do you feel like is the mindset psychology side? And how much do you think is really tactical, follow a script side?
Tactical is like it moves the needle. It's
Yeah.
it's a 5 to 10%. Like, so many people are emphasis and they get excited about tactics. They're like, "Oh, I want to learn a tactic." And I'm like, "That's great, but it's such a small marginal piece of a negotiation." So much of the ground that we gain happens long before we enter the "hi, here's my offer" or "here's my counter" situation.
Yeah. Something that I love about you is the way that you break things down. You're really good at making difficult concepts easy to understand, which for me, that's like my love language. So I feel that we speak the same language there, and it's a skill and it's been practiced over many, many years, many decades. When you talk about the whole process of real estate, of buying homes, all of that, I remember, and I don't know if this is in your program, but I remember you talking about really there are like 3 phases. There's like the lead generation phase where you're bringing the prospects and the leads in and you're attracting them, and even through the lens of any type of business this is important, right? Phase number 2, it was kind of like the negotiation process, and here's where you're really mastering your messaging and you're doing the back and forth with price and deal and value. And then the third phase was very transactional. It's sort of the quote unquote close the deal. We like to say open because it's an opened opportunity, but you close the deal, you finalize the sale. Are you still teaching those 3 phases? Did I get that right?
You were pretty close. I mean, we definitely talk about, like, let's call it a pre-client, prepping the client action type phase element.
Sounds like a date.
Yeah. The acronym that we use the most in the program is an acronym called TRAP, TRAP, and it helps people understand the 4 phases of a negotiation. And so we
Cool.
go through that. We have a strategy guide that's based on that. It's just, it helps people just kind of analyze a little bit differently. And that's the gameplay element, right? That's your tactics, your go, that's your action element. But we spent probably 3 weeks on the in the program. So
if someone wasn't in real estate and they took your program, do you think it would be helpful if they were a general business owner or a different industry?
1,000%. You know, our case studies are very specific to real estate and real estate brokerage. But negotiation and the learning of strategy can be applied to any environment. I've taught this in politics. I've taught this in government. I've taught it in finance and in corporate. It all just, it's the same thing. It's just we're learning a different process. So the analyzation of the process is what changes from industry to industry.
Yeah. Or you're just sort of pitching a different product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
How did you get into this? Yeah. Value proposition.
Oh,
for sure.
How did I get it? Do I want to say that on a podcast? I got into a lot of trouble when I was younger. You know, I ran into a lot of hard corners, really pressed the envelope on what I could do and not do. And my attorney, who I used to spend just a ton of time with, was teaching this subject matter around the country. And he said, hey, let me introduce you to an institute that I've kind of licensed content from. And so I started there and started teaching locally, and then started speaking about it nationally. And from there, it just became a topic that was a big part of my year as a speaker. So it's now become something that I feel like just it emulates in every other place in life. Yeah. So from my relationships with my wife to my kids to everything is about just this practice and this human involvement, the human communication of negotiation, which is my favorite part of it. Strategy is great, but it's the communication and psychology side of it that just really amps me up every day.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, working with so many business owners, I mean, thousands of business owners over the years, part of what people are either missing, lacking, or not really willing to put in is the time that it takes to actually nurture a relationship. And, you know, thanks to social media, we love it. Sometimes we hate it, but there's this thought or this misconception that, okay, cool, I put out a post, I'm going to put out an offer, and I'm going to make a sale. And especially when you get into the high ticket space, which is a lot of our clients, there's a relationship that really does need to be built. So I think it's a huge miss. It's a really big common mistake that people just aren't allowing the time for those seeds to be nurtured. Do you have any other sort of common mistakes or, you know, pitfalls that you see when it comes to sales and negotiation?
Yeah, I mean, training the brain to have different levels of assumption and perception.
Ooh, talk about that.
That's like the biggest hurdle, right? Because how we see a situation matters the most. And so when we look at all the different kinds of filters and experiences and things that people have, training them to take a wider viewpoint or even step back from their initial gut instinct. As sales professionals, we're not guided that way. We're guided to finish sentences and make assumptions and make quick reactions, and everything's about time in a real estate transaction. So I think the hardest thing for people is to understand that patience has to be a part of their element. And that their mindset when they're viewing a problem element, that oftentimes it's the view of their facts versus the emotion, right? Like one of the things I loved about Empower was taking me through the design of my content that made me think about that. Yeah. Like, hey, what are these issues that people are going to run into? Like designing content, I love it. Taking you through what you need to know is great, but then how are you going to adapt and understand this information? How are you going to react to it? And just being in the environment of that coaching world and hearing you give feedback, I was like, oh, dude, that is so valuable. Like I don't think people and listeners out there will understand without being in it, how valuable having a seat at that table and listening to the interactions of people actually mapping problems out.
Yeah.
And
that even happens with, we'll call them classmates, right? But when you're in a group program and you have peers and they're going through, and there's so often times that people will feel before joining a group program, at least ours, they'll think, you know, well, I don't need, like, am I going to get enough attention? Right. And then it's like, wow, but you're going to learn so much in the room. And it's oftentimes not until you're in the room where you realize, wow, there are people on this call asking things that I didn't even know that I didn't know. And it's so valuable to listen in. And one of the things that we teach with content and I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit. So there's most of us as content creators and business owners, we create content for our ideal client, right? Which is great. That's what we're supposed to do. And we're writing to them about what they already know. A lot of times we're writing what they already know. So I'm going to go with health and fitness because that's more my jam. You can do it with real estate. What people in health and fitness might already know is like, I should work out, right? I should monitor my intake of calories if I want to lose weight. I should stretch. I should warm up. So it's like they already know that. So putting content out like that is not brain breaking. It's not thought provoking, but it's like, okay, cool. It's got some value. If you go one layer deeper as a content creator, it's actually our job to also put out content about things that they don't know. So now maybe they know they should stretch or they know they should warm up, but they don't really know about specifics like using a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball for trigger point, or what foam rolling really is, or maybe they don't know why kettlebells are so trendy and how's the kettlebell different or better than maybe a barbell. And so now it's my job as a thought leader to put out content that they don't know. Now, the ticket here, and if you're listening to this episode, I'm giving you $1 million lesson right now. Like, this is a refresher for Mike. This is $1 million lesson for you. So take your notes out. When you can get to a place where your content is about what they don't know, now you've sold them. And it's not in a manipulative way, but you've just opened their brain up to something that they had no idea that they didn't even know. And I'll give you an example. So I'm going to shift gears for a second because the example in my brain is working better here. When someone eats food and they get bloated, they know that when I eat food, I get bloated and that sucks. What they don't know is why. Is it a particular food? Am I allergic to this thing? Should I get tested? Do I need to do a stool sample, a blood test, etc.? What they don't know is that it actually could be mold toxicity in your home. And now if you're this kind of gut specialist or registered dietitian, you're coming in going, yes, I know you get bloated and it sucks. Yes, I know you think that it could be broccoli or, beans or whatever, but what you don't know is it actually might be mold toxicity. And so as a leader, as a content creator, we go one layer deeper. And when you were just mentioning sort of being at the table, that's what it made me think of, because so often in group programs, there are people at the table who will ask a question that will open up Pandora's box of things that you didn't even know you didn't know. And so did you find that that ever happened inside of Empower?
Yeah. And I think I had a stigma coming in, right? Which I want to address because I know other people
Yeah.
have the stigma, is that, oh, if I don't have people in my industry, I'm not going to learn anything.
Ooh.
That element of like, oh, well, there's fitness professionals in here. I'm not a fitness professional. Right. So like that was like my little chip on the shoulder coming in. And I was like, all right, do me. Let's hear this. Right. And I'm blown away because the things that we face, the things that we struggle with aren't industry specific. They're human specific.
Ooh.
And so
Ooh.
like hearing human obstacles and frustrations and fears, those are the things that we learn from. Oh, and
That's so good.
it's just that aspect of real people being raw and like realizing, okay, these are the things I'm facing on a daily basis. I can call it whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can say and label it, oh, it's that person or it's that thing or it's the sales calls, but it's not. It's this guy facing things that I don't want to face.
Yeah.
And when you hear other people obviously say that, it becomes very real for you and it gives you permission to feel it and talk about it and work through it. And so that I think is the biggest like aha.
Yeah.
And I love your element, Jess, about teach people how to think. Right. Because I look at that now every time I'm drafting content. I'm like, all right, how can I teach them how to think here?
Yeah.
How can I change their viewpoint on something different, make them look at it differently? So yeah, huge experience there for me.
That is massive. And there was just like 2 mic drops in there that we could use as clips. So that's awesome. But okay, so you had this little chip on your shoulder, which is fine. And I appreciate you and acknowledge you for admitting it, on the podcast. You're definitely not alone with that. Was there something that you did or something that someone else said to you or something that my team and I did that sort of removed the chip enough for you to say, screw it, I'm in, let me try this?
Well, I mean, all the way across the board, like it was yes, 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 yes. Like from coaches to the experience, to the structure, to the environment, to my cohort.
But before you said yes to coming in. So like that chip is, was that like an objection at a point?
it wasn't an objection to signing up. It was an objection of more of a challenge of, I feel confident that I can pull value out of a program.
Yes.
I kind of knew that if it was just content, I was going to get my value for the cost. That was my baseline.
Yeah.
And so coming in, it was kind of like, let's see what else I can learn. And it was more of a challenge chip on the shoulder of,
got it.
Am I really going to get anything else out of anyone being, in a different industry? Or, every time I'd hear someone who's like, oh, I'm in real estate, I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah. If you're on YouTube, Mike just leaned in, put his hand on his chin, like, tell me more.
Tell me more. But it was, and I think there's an arrogant sense there, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I feel very expert level at what I do. And you come into these situations guarded. And I think that a lot of us get into that. I'm a lone wolf out there running around, being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, and we forget that there's so much value in the people that are standing right next to us, regardless of what they do. So yeah, your team unlocked that for me. The coaches unlocked that for me. Mindset people like Nick unlocked that for me. Just great sessions left and right.
Yeah. If you didn't have that unlocked, do you think that your business would be where it is today? Do you think that you would have had the personal or business growth that you had?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because I've tried that before. Like this wasn't my first digital launch.
Yeah.
Right. And so like I've done the whole buy a little package campaign, try to learn it myself, do it myself, etc. And the result is that I'm more connected now to my program. I'm more connected to what it's doing for people than I've ever been in my career.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
That to me is the difference between a do-it-yourself program or any other coaching program that's just thrown together and what you guys have put together through E+mpower.
That's awesome. And ultimately, you kind of having that deeper understanding and love for what you're doing is the ripple effect, right? Because then the people that you affect, whether it's through your free content or your paid program, they're getting more information, more value. They're feeling the emotion of what you're teaching and why you're teaching them how to think. We always say on here, the quality of your questions is going to determine the quality of your life or your business. And so when that content is sort of surface level and it's just people ask us all the time, even in E+mpower, it's like, how many times a week should I post? And I'm like, is that really the question? Do you think that there's a magical number of how many times you should post that's going to make your business pop? Or is it rather, what type of content should I be posting? Or just why do you post X amount of times, right? And when you can become that detective and really enhance the level of the question that you're asking, you're going to get a better answer. And it's sort of that, you can teach a man to fish or you can give him a fish, right? He'll like eat for a day or he'll eat for life. So
right.
Yeah, it's like really important when we're looking at the questions that we're asking. So I could talk to you all day. I want to get so deep into sales and negotiations, but we're going to save that for another time.
Understood.
How can people find you, follow you, work with you?
Best place is Instagram. My Instagram handle is _. I've got a link there in my bio to my programs, to my website. My program is called Academy 8spelledout.com. You can visit my page there. That lists all the ways that people can contact me and reach out. Yeah, I'm excited. It's definitely and you can tell, I mean, people can't see the smile right now on my face, but it's just in a different space with it.
That's awesome. Well, we are super grateful for you. We're so proud of you. We love and adore you. We support you in your business fully. I cannot edify you enough. This guy knows his thing. So just go follow his content if you want to learn anything about sales, negotiations, or if you are in the real estate space, this is definitely a page that you want to be following. So make sure you are reaching out to Mike. Mike, I appreciate you. And I'm going to leave you with one final question. We do this on all of our episodes. The digital business evolution was named because we believe we're always evolving and growing. And as we evolve and grow, so does our business, as it is a reflection of us. So what is your next business or personal evolution?
Ooh, next business or personal evolution. Definitely advancing my speaking sphere this year.
Yes.
TED is in my future this year. So I'm excited about that.
MT just did a TED.
I did. I saw that.
Coach Mary. That. Yeah.
So that I would say is probably one of the most immediate evolutions as far as kind of stepping up my messaging game to the world. And then I'm gonna launch a podcast soon, like before end of Q1. Podcast is coming. Everything about negotiation, conflict mediation, and just how to think and people and behavior. Excited. So that will be out there here probably in the next month or two.
Oh my gosh. Well, shameless plug right here. Part of being an alumni, you get our free monthly workshops, and we did a workshop yesterday on podcasts. So we walked through the whole process of, if you want to launch one and starting one and what you need and the technology, which I know you know a lot of this, but definitely go check it out. It's in our alumni Facebook group. This is for Mike I'm talking to right now. But any alumni that's listening, yeah, we do free monthly workshops, and yesterday's theme was all about podcasting. So I'm stoked for you. That's going to be awesome.
Thank you so much. I look forward to staying plugged in, and I'll keep you guys updated.
Awesome. All right. Make sure you give a follow over to Mike at the Mike _ tag
the coach him, Mike. The coach
Mike. Tag him with any takeaways, aha moments, or just shoot him a DM and let me know what you loved about this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
As always, cheers to your evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.